Upgrade Accessibility's logo shows the words Upgrade Accessibility in white text on a maroon background. It rises up off screen to make way for the Pride Our Way logo. The logo depicts a brown circle referencing a head, which sits atop dancing light pink and blue flowy arm lines. Below the arms are arched lines overlapping each other, forming a circle. These lines are each a color of the Pride rainbow. In the center of the circle is a black dot. The colors all come from the Progress Pride flag. The background is a tan, thin squiggle. Upgrade Accessibility and Pride Our Way were both founded by Mary Fashik. The logo for Pride Our Way was created by Judine Rose Studio. A maroon screen with white text that shows the logos for the sponsors of Pride Our Way. Some of the colors that you can observe on our sponsors' logos are red and violet, yellow, and brown.
We would like to say thank you to our sponsors, Row House Publishing, Dear Patriarchy Podcast, Somewhere Under the Rainbow Collective, Sarah V., Brittany Carmona Holt, and Something Greater Social. Submitted by Katrina, at Katrina Dreamer on Instagram. Black and white photograph of the crisp veins of an aged leaf on a blurred light gray background. Submitted by May at my_bleeding_pen on Instagram, titled Grenade. A healthy hand with long, dark nails holds a human heart with a skeletal finger pulling a pin out as if it were a grenade. Submitted by Ruby at Ruby Cromer Art on Instagram. A vintage studio style portrait of Ruby, a white person with slicked back short brown hair, wearing a too large brown suit jacket with a white shirt and gray-green geometric tie. They are holding a peach-colored, oversized plastic promotional pill that reads Paxil Paroxetine HCl 20. Their face has an expression of feigned thoughtfulness, and they're in front of a blue gradient background. I Want Doesn't Get by Sorrel Christian Ayers. The next screen has the text of Sorrel's piece, which they are going to read.
Want to wear a ball gown but not be a princess. Want to be charming but not be the prince. Want to cut my hair off. Want to wear it girly. If I put on makeup, does that mean I'm girly? Want to be maternal but not be a mother. Sorrel's not my birth name, and that means I'm other. Want to see myself when I look in the mirror. Want to stop wondering if I was an error. Want to wear a ball gown but not be a princess. Want to be charming but not be the prince.
The next 12 slides were submitted by Sarah V. at Things on Lighters on Instagram. Pills. The head of a white person whose eyelids are sealed shut with honey and whose mouth is full of 9 pills. The top of their head is the crumpled body of a white person with swirling long black hair that leads up to bright red abstract globs piling up off the page. Peekaboo Queer. Against a yellow background from ankle down are the 2 feet of a white person in colorful blue kitten heels and pink socks, hiding behind strips of paper in a rainbow pattern. International Sign of Accessibility. A white background with green text reading accessible parking with a centered blue circle underneath. Monsters on Things. On a gray and stormy day, there is a lighthouse on top of a rocky pier where a thin and stringy, dark monster with horns is holding out a skull as an offering to the ocean. Social media. An orange lunar swirl is on the bottom left. Coming out of the swirl is the illusion of an astronaut. The bottom half of the legs are in a leg brace. Mid-waist is a purple light flare, and attached to the light is a teal vintage telephone wire floating up, the other end attached to an iPhone. The home button, a pink star, with a selfie of a person facing away from the screen, head on arm. International Sign of Accessibility. A white background with green text reading, accessible parking, with a centered blue circle underneath. Underneath the blue circle, in black font reads hashtag We Define Disabled. Fawning for You. A white person in the blackness of space has the full moon as a head, wearing a beige skirt, naked from the waist up. In their lap, they are holding a vintage TV with their head inside the TV. Seizure Skull. On a black background is a collage of a skull using medical journals, porn mags, and jewelry photos in muted colors of gray, ruby, gold, and olive. Why was 6 afraid of 7? 2 8 of clubs playing cards are placed on top of each other to create the illusion of a monster's face. Various comic book scraps are collaged into an eye-rolling, lip-smacking, hand-grabbing monster with leaves stuck in its top teeth. Seizures and post-ictal psychosis. A surreal analog collage of a white person's face bleeding out, showing pieces of what their insides are. Peeking through, you can see grays and greens being smeared off the page and a skeletal mouth. For hair, there are wisps of black and white following up the page. There is an orange light to the right of their shoulder. It's supposed to look like a face bleeding out within a face using dark colors and greens. Page of Swords. An analog collage of a person with white skin and no hair sitting facing forward on a wheelchair with a plastic shopping bag hanging off the handle and a sword poking out of the bag that rests on a bed of clouds. For their hair, there is a map of NYS following up to Maine that gives the illusion of hair being gently whisked up. In the background to the left of the person are 3 colorful floating hot air balloons rising from a forest. The Emperor. A bald human figure is nude, crouching over a giant orange slice that is rendering its juice into a nebula. They look down with their arms raised. Behind them, layered in the distance, are a city skyline, then a globe with constellations mapped all over it, then an orange planet with starlight flaring off of it. Behind it is a sky full of stars. White text on a black background that reads, Trigger and Content Warning, Racism, Assault, Suicide, and Death.
Hi, my name is Tiezst Taylor, and I'm reading my poem entitled That Same Old Dream. I'm afraid that I could be so great at writing poetry that the white supremacist world would finally break. I'm afraid to summon greatness using my truth in words as my optimal strength and my strongest escape. If the way out is through, and sobriety in all its forms is my reckoning liberation, like a train hitting me head on. If not death by suicide, if I never take my own life, if my trauma is actually tenable, then how will I survive? What happens to queer Black poets who aren't of the Harlem Renaissance? Do we grow old? Do we still love? Are we anything without our pain? Am I still my mother's daughter, her son, her foe? If I let the agony inside me dissipate in a manner least prose. If I wake up every 3 a.m. to write, to reflect, to feel, will my mania subside? Will these bleeding wounds finally heal? 27 years since my first recalled assault, and I still haven't learned to separate the self from the self-hatred. Sitting alone in silence with intentional inaction, being still yet awake, my nervous system pleading, Ty, please, let's regulate. Why am I so afraid of sitting? Why am I so convinced that if I sit in utter silence, then something will get me? Like a ghost flying out through a once dormant portal, having waited my entire life to catch me alone, to see me defenseless, to feed on my soul. Like a beast under a balsamic moon, terrorizing a sacred period of rest. All my lulls have panics, all my sleeps have anxiety. Is it ironic or befitting to conceptualize my non-existence as the only way I can rest in peace? I have this deep-seated fear that I will only be appreciated on the day they bury me. That someone will bring up my poetry and mention how I move them. My therapist gave me a prompt. Find your own self-worth. You've lost yourself somewhere. Let a new Tiezst emerge. So here I lie alive on a Wednesday afternoon, embracing all parts of me like a jasmine flower in full bloom. I am making an oath to do better, to welcome myself home, open arms, the warmest of love, as a daily process, as never giving up. Is there any better time to learn how to love oneself than every single day, working towards a rhythm. I will find harmony. I am not my trauma. Right now, I am still finding out who I really am. Thank you.